It's happened to the cave where the echoes bounce, in the depths where the whispers of knowledge count. A place not just of dark, but of light where ideas clash and take flight. K4 on the beat, in the labyrinth deep, navigating mysteries that the cave keeps. Every step a new discovery, every turn a story untold inside the cave where the shadows unfold. Inside the cave where the shadows unfold.
Finding secrets that the universe keeps, from the echoes of the past to the whispers of the new. Inside the cave, find the truth. Walls lined with the beats of history's hiding new. Inside the cave, find the truth. We find the truth.
Oh, here we go.
Don't worry.
No, we're good. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back inside the cave. You know, we're here despite any technical difficulties or any spiritual difficulties.
Yes, we
I'm over
are.
here with the newest caveman, Elijah. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
How's it going?
All right. So, yes, you know, we're inside the cave. We're going to break down some shit. This is our kitchen. This is our garage. This is our library. This is the cave, man. And before we begin, make sure you guys check out the website, cave.com, k4v3.com, so you can get some merch. I'm wearing the occult anime hoodie after we did the deep dive in Dragon Ball Z. And I have decided the next anime we are going to break down, and we talked about this in the last show we did. We got to do occult anime Pokemon, man, because that shit goes deep.
I'm cool with it, bro.
It's worth multiple episodes. I think the first episode is going to be really big to the point where we're going to have to fucking go over it again. And dog, who knew that it would connect to demonology, man? I think a few people knew. I think the people who were like, nah, you can't put Pocket Monster. You got to change it to Pokemon. I think they knew. You know what I'm saying?
You know, my grandma didn't let me. I ain't gonna say she didn't let me, but she didn't really like it when I watched stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pokemon del Diablo. It's something.
Yeah, man. To me, I thought everything was cool to me, honestly, things were cool. And then when the Christian church started like trying to cancel it, I thought it was cooler. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what drew me to Eminem, Slim Shady.
That's
I think
hilarious.
that's what drew me into Harry Potter. You know, I didn't really get into Marilyn Manson really, but the intrigue that he was getting canceled by the church kind of made me like look into why. You know what I'm saying? But
I can't say I can't say that I was like a big fan of his music, but I like his retake on Sweet Dreams. I was just listening to that shit earlier in my life.
Yeah. Despite his music, he was definitely a character. You know what I'm saying? Like people knew who he was or knew of him. I feel like
For sure.
But interesting thing, bro. We're gonna break it down. The Kybalion. You hit me up. You wanted to break it down. And interestingly enough, I think all these people that we just spoke about, Marilyn Manson, Eminem, and the people who excel in life, I feel like are aware of the practices that are taught.
They have to be.
Kybalion. You know what I'm saying?
They have to.
Before I hand it off to you, bro, I do want to ask, what's the difference between the Cabal and the Kybalion? Because I know those two get mixed up a lot, right?
I can't really even tell you that I have the answer to that because I would be lying.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. If you have a little bit of information on the Cabal, maybe you can tell me about it. Then maybe I might be able to answer that. But
all right, let's look it up. Okay, so the Cabal is being thrown around a lot now because of Q. You know what I'm saying, and all the deep state talk. But I just did a Google search. Let's pull it up. Looks like the Cabal. There's multiple batches for the quote unquote the Cabal, including a group of people, a set theory group, a software package manager, and a fictional organization. So I think I'm talking about the the powerful group that seeks to gain control. The term is often negative connotations such as the political conspiracy, secrecy, or intrigue. The term can also be used as a verb to mean to form a cabal or to secretly conspire. There you go, QAnon. So I think it might be them that kind of spat this out.
Symbology. Can you show me any symbols?
Let's see. I think the cabal is like a more specific name for the Illuminati. So I think the symbols that we will see are all like hijacked symbols from actual secret societies, possibly Hermetic principles that we'll go over today.
Yeah.
That looks like a all-seeing eye upside down.
That's interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look into that, man. I haven't heard about that before. That's
so maybe we'll bookmark that. But what we're talking about today is the Kybalion.
Correct.
So just to preface the Kybalion before I hand it off to you, my only real introduction to the Kybalion was when I looked into the 7 Hermetic Principles. I was watching YouTube heavily around 2011 to 2013, and I was watching this guy named Infinite Waters.
Yes.
Are you aware of him? Can I get a hello?
Nah, but that sounds dope. I'm gonna have to check that out.
He's a dope guy, but
that's nice.
He taught me about the 7 Hermetic Principles, and I felt like it was really deep. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not mistaken, it was once a process to purify base metal to turn to gold, but in a way, it's a double entendre to turn your soul into a higher being.
I would say yes and no, but only no because only just the specific word that they would use to call someone who has mastered of these principles, it would be an alchemist. And alchemy itself was the practice of turning base metals into gold, things like that. Okay. So then the Kybalion would in turn be exactly what you just said, taking your mind and the base components of your mind and turning them into what we would consider spiritual gold or mental gold or the master of 7 principles. I just think this book is really interesting, and I needed to talk to people and tell people my thoughts because I wrote notes on this book. Like I just read the whole book in a span of maybe a week. I had a week of going to work. Only when I go to work, I'd read the book. And I really like this book. So I wrote something down after I wrote the whole thing. And then, like, I want to read what I wrote down. Then I want to go into the most important parts that I personally think that people need to grasp. Now, the whole book is important. The whole book is important. And I really like it because it's universal knowledge that can be applied in any form of life that you could ever think of, from literally from the way you throw a dice to the way you set up your entire work career, like something very simple, the way you hold a pencil, whatever, like it'll change everything. It'll change your approach on everything, and it'll help you better manage. And if you're already somebody that's really good at managing your emotions and things like that, it'll just sharpen it and or bring certain things to the forefront and add on to what you already got going on.
So let me just read this Wikipedia excerpt. The Kybalion, the full title, The Kybalion, a study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece, is a book originally published in 1908 by quote-unquote 3 initiates, often identified as the New Thought pioneer William Walker Atkinson from 1862 to 1932. That purports to convey the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, who is... Would you say that he was the original author on some, like, if Jesus is the author of the Bible or God's the author of the Bible, he spoke the message through the people who wrote it type shit? And are these the 3 initiates, the quote unquote, the people that wrote it?
Well, I don't really think it would matter who I think he is, but the ones who, you know, give him his praise and his respect, they say that they believe him to be a traceable force that came way before humans and that manifested into, you know, Thoth They say that he is Thoth because that's where he's said to be like the original actual author of the Emerald Tablets.
Emerald Tablets. There you go.
Because you got the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, but then you got the Emerald Tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, and they're not really too far off from each other.
And dog, it goes full circle because the first episode we had you on, you spoke about the avians, and this brings Thoth and the avians back together because Thoth.
I wish I had my wing on me right now. I got my wing back.
So I'll just keep going and read this. While it shares with ancient and medieval Hermetic texts a number of traits such as philosophical mentalism, the concept of as above, so below, and the idea that everything consists of gendered polar opposites. As a whole, it is more in depth to the ideas of modern occultist authors, especially those of the New Thought movement to which Atkinson belonged. A modern Hermetic track, it has been widely influential in New Age circles since the 20th century.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Take it away, man. Which version of the book did you read?
I read the Kybalion by 3 Initiates.
Okay.
I don't really know. I don't even know who wrote it. Honestly, I was just at work one day, and it's gonna sound funny, but I was at work one day. I wasn't really having too good of a day, and I wasn't really going through too many good things. There was too much stuff going on around me. I didn't like it. So when I go through stuff like that, then I try to like replace my thoughts and replace my reality and like shift my reality by learning things. And then it's funny as hell because this book talks about doing that exact thing. And that exact thing, how they pinpoint it and put a name on it, they call it the law of rhythm. And it corresponds with the law of polarity, and correspondence. After I've read this entire book, I believe that all these laws are just underlying and just like emphasizing correspondence. Because really at the end of the day, when you master all these laws, that's exactly what you're doing. You're corresponding with the forces rather than being, I wouldn't really say a victim to them, but like you're kind of getting pushed around by accident, just because you're not aware of what's going on. It's like being the new kid on the football team or something like that, I guess you could say.
Dog, like honestly, the 7 Hermetic Principles really changed the way I looked at anger, really changed the way I looked at like bad weeks, bad days. It changed the way I thought about seasons. It changed the way I thought about fucking gay people. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, it'll change the way you think about every single thing that you could ever think of. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. So, dude, take it away, bro. Where do you want to start?
I want to read these notes because I need somebody to hear this. So I wrote this on three days ago. In my notes. And
if you want me to pull up any pictures while you're reading the notes, bro, let me know.
All right, that'll work. Pull up. Let's see. Pull up some sort of art depicting reincarnation.
Bet. Shit.
All right.
Some good ones right here. All right.
Oh, that's my favorite one, honestly. That one right there.
This one right here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I feel like this is the most accurate depiction of it. Who the fuck?
Yeah.
I got to know the artist who fucking made this one because he needs.
Shout out to them for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Looks like.
That's beautiful.
Keskustelu.
Shout out to you, sir. That's funny. I like it. That's a wonderful name. Cool. So, my notes, they say, reincarnation has nothing to do with good or evil. Your destiny of becoming a king through righteous acts is not ideally better than your destiny as a blade of grass or a victim of abuse as a peasant girl through acts of evil. All forms of existence are always changing and nothing is absolute. Nothing is at a complete rest. We are all dancing together in this collective formulation of energy we call existence. Being able to maintain a specific vibration does not come from good or bad intentions. It only comes from the ability or inability to coincide / co-create with forces that are moving around you. Dancing with the flow, you find yourself most resonant. Dance with the flow that you find most resonant with will provide you the path you desire. You have to pick your change. You have to pick your evolution and involution. I learned that word in that book. It's necessary. It's like your actual involvement in what's going on in this world.
Involution.
Involution. It's like growth through involvement. Or like it's a very, very interesting word. I've never heard that word before. It's very, very interesting to me though. It's not really hard to impress me, to be honest. But
hashtag involution. Let's throw that up there.
Yeah, definitely. You have to pick your path and your place. And what I mean place is, and what I mean path is, because there's some people who, even though you won't believe it, some people do need to hear this. Like they need to hear simple stuff like that being broke down. Mm-hmm. When I say your path, because most people will hear you say walk your path, and people get caught up in metaphoric terminology, so you lose them because they don't want to hear things like that. So when I say walk your path and when I say your place, you have to observe yourself. Before you can move around in this world, you have to know who you are. The reason that celebrities and other people like that make it the way that they do, if you pay attention to their demeanor, they're very sure about who they are. And there's nothing that you can do to take them away from that. They get paid for literally knowing who they are and being very good at being exactly who they are. They figured out their talents. Some of them even had talents that they weren't even too fond of. Like some people, you can be born with a talent that you don't really like. There's people out here that are really good at things like rapping or playing guitar or sculpting or stuff like that. But you'll never know because it's just not something they want to do. They'd rather do something else. So it's like once you find yourself, then you will be able to move out in the world. Because the biggest problem in this world is that humans move out into this world. I'm saying world a lot. This is very worldly stuff. Mm-hmm. When you go out here into this world, bro, and you don't know who you are, then you're going to get very confused when things start attracting to you. When you put your intentions to attract one thing, but you're getting something else. Or when you choose a certain path or you choose something that you want to do in life, you get offended by the obstacles and the enemies that come along the way. Because it doesn't necessarily matter what you choose and do in your life. Once you decide that's what you do, there's going to be something in your way to try to block you from doing that. There's going to be something that's by your side that's going to help you do that. There's going to be things you have to lose to acquire it, and there's going to be things that you gain in order, again, to acquire it.
Yeah, bro. That's like also, I saw this video of a kid crying because he was getting beaten in a video game and someone was recording him, right? And it's funny because I feel like that's something that everybody goes through, you know what I mean? But when you're going through it, it fucking feels like shit and it almost feels like your world is collapsing. But when you're looking at it after going through it, it's almost like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like a trial of man, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's exactly
so
right.
It's almost like a song, you know what I mean? Like you're going to get past the chorus and then the next verse is going to start type shit. Or it's like a dance, you know what I mean?
That's why I call it a dance. And the reason I call it a dance is because I'm very, very interested and fascinated by the whole understanding that the Hindus have of these laws. Mm-hmm. Because the reason I'm so interested in the laws of rhythm and gender in this book is because not only do they acknowledge the exact same thing that the Hindus are talking about, but then they take away all of the imagery of the Hindus and specifically focus on the logic and the science. So for the people who get wrapped up and get too distracted by seeing faces with multiple arms and they get intimidated by things like that, and they don't want to hear it or they just don't believe it, it's just not their thing, and they can't get that from that, they would be able to get that from this book, because this book doesn't teach you how to do magic. This book doesn't teach you how to cast spells. This book doesn't teach you how to do any of that. It just teaches you how to master your mind. That's it. It's universal application. It can be applied to anything whatsoever. Anyone can read it and understand it. Well, not necessarily understand it, but everyone can read it and really get something from it if they were to understand it. It's like It's like a mental exercise. I would compare reading this book to lifting weights in real life with your body.
Okay.
For your
spiritually.
Mind, yeah,
spiritually, yeah. Or it talks a lot about men. It's crazy because this book doesn't really talk about spirituality. It talks about mentalism, right?
Yes, mentality. Yes,
right. Interesting.
Indeed.
Let me just read this. Involution, noun, plural noun, psychology, the shrinkage of an organ in old age or when inactive. So I guess they're talking about like not voluntary, I guess. Mathematics, a function, transformation, or operator that is equal to its inverse, which gives the identity when applied to itself. Formal, the process of involving or complicating, or the state of being involved or complicated. I don't think that's the correct definition that we're talking about, right?
That's not the way that they were using it. But
interesting. Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess you kind of could say it is with the way that the mathematical definition was given.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you're taking the friction and you're moving with the friction and getting involved with it and transmuting it rather than, being
that's equal to its inverse. So that's kind of an as above, so below.
Exactly. That's exactly what the Kybalion is the as above, so below. That's exactly what they believe. So that's where it get kind of scary, because if you hear it, you're gonna hear shit like that, and then if you don't know what's going on in this world, and you're just now tapping into things like this, then 9 times out of 10, the first thing that you will know and see when you hear "as above, so below" is bafflement. And when you're in the beginning, it doesn't matter who you are unless you're just one of them. That's why I could call you one of them, one of the people. Unless you're just one of them, you can't see that and not be, kind of shaken up from it, from the way that they taught us and what's going on in the planet before we started looking at things like this, like it's just a regular picture in a regular book.
That's so crazy, though. We talked about how some of these things, especially we talked about voodoo a little bit on the last show that we did. Some of the things that we see, or if you did see some of the things that they do practice in voodoo or some of these occults, it looks demonic. It looks satanic. It almost looks primitive and wild. You know what I mean? And that's only if you're looking at from a Catholic or Christian perspective, right?
Definitely.
But it's funny, if you change the whole setting and you change the whole scenario into a mathematical setting, not really, right?
No, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
If you take this and you do the math, because this is what's really going on right now. You're not watching Joe Reeves and Elijah Ifache on TV right now. You're watching energy moving. You're watching energy produce. You're watching energy generate. You're watching something rise right now. You're watching something fall. You're watching something being created, and something is being destroyed as you listen. Like this, all this right here is just existence. So when you're looking at the stuff that's going on in this world, this is why the law of gender is important to me in this book. Like sex, for example, the most important thing in humanity is sex. But the way that they talk about gender is that when you go down and you look down to the most microscopic form of existence, which would be, the atomic realm or the subatomic realm, all of these things rely on each other. Then they have a masculine and feminine, but not like a Shiva Shakti, like you would say if you were to get on that level, but on an actual deeper level, like molecular. They have a positive pole and a negative pole, a nucleus or a cathode, how they would call it in the book, and a nucleus, and what's the other one? A neutron and an electron. So it's the electron and the cathode. So they come together and they take away the negativity as far as like negative pole meaning something evil and something dark and something bad. Negative pole and positive pole is nothing more than being able to hold energy and like it's like unstable until it has energy to stabilize it. So then when you apply that and you look at the relationship of these molecular structures and you start building bigger and you start going higher into the realms till you get to human beings, sex is nothing more than a physical representation of an energy exchange. So the same way that the nucleus the same way that the electron and the cathode would come together to create an atom, and then once the atom is created, then I believe the cathode goes out again and seeks another partner. Like it's feminine, it's that feminine energy. It goes out to seek another male. The male and the woman get together, they grow, they separate, and it keeps going until the existence gets higher. And now the female is looking for the male, or the male's we're conscious now, we can think now. So we're going out looking for the female. Mm-hmm. All that's happening right now is corresponding energy. That as above, so below, when you talk about the things looking wild from Catholic perspectives and stuff like that, you have to look at the math of what's going on. You have to, what old indigenous people, whether it's closed practice and they're not telling you this is what they're doing, or it's the other side who's telling you it's what they're doing because they're a lot more loud with their traditions. Like, you have to be trained with your eye and your mind and your ears, all of your senses. You have to be trained. This is what makes a trained priest. You have to be trained in that spiritual math and understand the correspondence between the physicality of what's going on in this ritual and the spiritual energy that's going on behind it. They have certain things that they go into. I don't know if I don't want to go too deep into it, but they're able to read people and understand exactly what spirit is here. And to understand exactly what force is here. So when they call down a spirit, or even if someone is coming down and call it down a demon, when you call down a demon into a vessel, or you call down any type of spirit into any vessel, in order for you to be able to communicate with it, to keep it here, to get what you want from it, whatever it is, you have to be able to know the limits of this human person's body. You have to be able to know the conditions of the environment you must keep. What temperature it might need to be up in there. If it's that specific thing, there's different things to understand. So something might look wild. Like, let's say, for example, I'll say this without talking too much. Let's say you see somebody punch somebody in the mouth or something. And I'm just using this for example. That's not to say that could possibly happen or not happen. But let's say that you see someone punch someone in the mouth. And you look around, no one does anything about it. And you don't understand what's going on. Or you see someone eating glass. Or you see someone dancing in fire. Or you see someone walking on water. Or talking to the water. And things happening. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're like, this is demon. This is demonic. This is this is that. But no. The same thing that these new scientists are understanding as far as water being able to retain energy, and the same way that these scientists call these plants, you know what I mean, by certain names, in the same way that they call animals. Like, we know a lion as a lion, but the scientists know the lion as something else. Mm-hmm. The reason that they're able to control certain things is because they can speak to these certain energies. They understand how these energies work. They don't see these things as cute animals. They don't see these plants as vegetables to eat or things to chop down. They see all these things as life forms, because even though something can't talk to you, it still has its own code. It still has its own language. It still has its own existence. It still has its own role. So they do certain things to create certain environments, to make certain things happen, to shift certain energies. When you get boxed up in the different areas of the world, there's different forces that are taking charge of different areas in the world, which will cause different, they will cause different social, climatic, and economical is what I'm looking for. That will cause economical, side effects. So these people with these forces might deal with this type of economy because of this is the energy that they're worshiping, or this is the energy that's taking over them, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In order for them to keep peace with this energy, they have to put themselves in a position and figure out how this energy can flow through them. Because out there in the world, the trees and the lions and everything, all the shit that we feel, they feel it. They feel it times a million. And the reason they're able to flow so effortlessly is because when they feel that energy, they move. They don't question it. They just let it out. And the lion is the lion. Because all of the instincts that he has to be a lion, and all of the energy that flows in him to make him a lion makes him the lion. He becomes the lion, and he exists as the lion. With us, it's a little bit more complicated because we're conscious. And the fact that we're conscious and that we can think and that we can question, we can speculate, we can dwell, we can release, we can hold, we can generate, we can create, we can destroy. It's a lot more complicated with our minds because now that we're conscious and we're able to think against instinct and attract instinct and create whole new instinct, we have to figure out how to slow all of that stuff down in order for us to flow as simply as the animals and the plants do. That's what this book is about. It's about when the life swings back and forth, when you're being swung with the rhythm of life, it's teaching you as a conscious being, it's teaching you how to not be swung, but to do the swinging, to control which way this stuff is swinging. So it's like, okay, it's not necessarily about neutralizing problems in your life, that's never been what spirituality has ever been about. Everybody thinks that because once you become spiritual and you start buying crystals and things like that, or even if you don't get there, whatever your version of spiritual is in your own realm, in your own world, people think that the moment you get there on that level and start doing these things, that problems go away, that your sins go away, that your flaws go away. Even Christians, they believe that when they hide behind Jesus, that their sins go away, that their old ways of thinking automatically go away, that they're never going to think what they thought, that they're never going to feel what they felt, that they're never going to crave what they crave. That's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about getting rid of demons. It's not about none of that. It's not about alleviating yourself of fear. It's about understanding that when fear comes, you know how to overcome the fear. When the lust comes, you know how to overcome the lust. When the anger comes, you know how to overcome the anger instead of being swung by the anger or being swung by the lust or being swung by any other thing that we can feel and be swung by. Because that's what we're doing. We're swinging. The Rastas say that. It's funny.
It's so funny, bro, because I feel like getting into spirituality or mentalism or alchemy, like you're aware that you really don't have control and you kind of just have to ride the waves, right?
Exactly right.
But then people who fall into alchemy all the time or spirituality all the time, don't get me wrong, like when you do let go, I feel like that's when you grab hold of whatever powers you do have and whatever control that you do have. So you do start to see like instantly your power because, you know, you let go of the delusional skills set or potential that you have, and you're just kind of moving and working with what you do have. And in turn, you kind of have a more grounded, realistic sense of your powers, right?
That is correct.
But sometimes, so like with that comes, you know, oh, now I can go through a hurtful moment without losing my cool and, you know, almost a stoic fashion of handling things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they learn to transmute that energy and release it whenever they want. Again, going back to what we talked about, energy and motion and emotions, right? Being stored and transmuted opposed to just kind of purging it and venting, right? Kind of using the energy. But I feel like people get lost and start to have like a delusional outlook to the delusional outlook to where they think that now they're all powerful. Like I can control, you know what I mean? Elements. I can control the outcome of this now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they go back and they revert. Now, is that man's error of thinking that way, an ego, or is that some kind of like?
It's not humans' fault.
Okay.
Because You have to blame the senses. You feel me? We're very, very sensitive creatures. We sense. So when we feel things that we're not used to feeling, and especially when people start being able to have powers and stuff like that, it's you to the point where your consciousness is able to direct this energy. And the energy is yours because you're connected to the energy, being that you are a part of existence. We believe that you're just recycled energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. The ancestors say your ancestors live through you. The Hindus say you reincarnate into new forms. They're all saying the same thing. Hold on. I lost myself for a second. Hold on a second. Where was I going with that? Maybe I'm not supposed to say
it. Possibly. We don't need the cameras crashing again, bruh.
Man, that just threw me off.
I said something about how humans like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
There you go.
So
perfect.
So we get these powers, and now we feel them. So when we feel this energy feels good. And when we see our bodies move our hand and make something move, when we see our body move, when we feel this energy, this corresponding energy, and then we move our hand, now we're giving ourselves a physical representation. And since we physically see our hand moving and we physically see the cup in front of us moving, or we physically snap our fingers and the light turns off, we believe it's us because we see ourselves doing it and we feel ourselves doing it and we are experiencing it inside of ourselves. Our senses are involved. You have to detach from that shit, acknowledge the feeling and understand what's going on and understand it to be an operation of, I guess you could say co-working and co-creation and consensual co-creation with the energies that are higher and lower than you. Because sometimes you got to elevate yourself when you're feeling low, but sometimes you got to lower yourself down a little bit,
right?
When you're too high.
Yeah, for sure. And I was talking to my wife, and it's a great metaphor. It's almost like with humans, and we'll go back to the mistranslation of involution in a little bit, but I feel like humans, we are sensitive. And that could be a pro and a con. It could be a pro because you pick up every little thing, right? Anything that registers, you kind of pick up on it. But at the same time, it's a con because you could get overloaded, right? And I think what's going on, well, my wife mentioned this, what's going on is we're in a dark room with 10 tennis balls being thrown at the same time, and we don't know where it's fucking coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man.
But what happens is, again, going back to what I said about letting go of the control that you don't have, sometimes we don't like to admit that I don't know where the fuck these tennis balls are coming from. You know what I mean? Frankly, I don't care where these tennis balls are coming from as long as I'm okay. Sometimes we're neurotic, and I think that's also the double-edged sword that we have as humans containing this divine energy, is the fact that we're a little neurotic, right? Like,
yes,
I feel like this divine energy contained in the right vessel, or not even the right vessel, in a vessel that can comprehend the neurotic functionality that it's supposed to be able to comprehend or compute, I feel like won't get overloaded, won't be stressed out. You know what I'm saying? And who knows if that's what computers are? You know what I mean? They're very neurotic and they don't have a physical body. What we have is we have a physical body. We can kind of,
we can slow down and regulate the energy. We're like,
or transmute it some way, you know what I mean? So we don't overheat type shit.
I would compare it to the way that reptiles regulate temperature.
Yeah, man.
That's what we're doing with neurotic energy. That's what we're doing with our spirits.
Crazy.
Yes.
But going back to involution being almost the opposite of what we were trying to talk about, right? Of involuntarily moving because of like some sort of
yeah, that's, see, look,
no motion.
It's the as above, so below again. So I don't mean to keep throwing you around, but that's what this is. It's funny. Mm-hmm. It's about becoming involved with uninvolved. It's about being involved in the involuntary movement of existence. Right. And then training yourself to be involuntarily involved. It's crazy. It's going
back to the metaphor of the 10 tennis balls being thrown at us, man. Like one of the principles of the Hermetic principle, one of the 7 principles of the Hermetic Principles is the law of vibration, right? And what does that mean? I don't know what that means. We can spend a whole episode on that, but part of that means speaking in words, right? Because obviously, like, you need the right vibration, which means you need the right password almost. Mm-hmm. Bro, these things already have names, man. I was doing this deep dive on great white sharks, and those motherfuckers already have like a scientific name. And I think it's weird that there's a lot of animals and there's a lot of processes and there's a lot of medication with scientific names, and they also have like a layman name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like great white shark, like the real name is genus Carcharodon. Like, how the fuck do you fucking, you know what I mean? Get the great white shark. I'm telling
you, man. I'm telling you, bro. Like,
which gives a different vibration when you say the real name opposed to great white shark. Again, going back to pocket monsters and Pokemon type shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's why, like, in the different movies, you'll see, like, have you ever seen the Pan's Labyrinth, that movie?
Yeah, bro. I watched it because you told me to watch that shit. That shit was crazy, bro.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a wild ass movie, man. I swear to God, it is.
I was kind of turned off on it because it was all Spanish, but later on, dude, I was like, dude, this shit's dark, bro.
Like, yo, if you really pay, like, he's this movie is about. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. This movie is about a satyr goat demon who is trying to groom this little girl into being his wife and having his little demon babies.
But they never really say that, right? But they never really say that.
But that's what's going on the whole fucking time, though. Like, it's a whole bunch of things that it'll show you clues, but it'll never it's never directly in the plot. It's so weird. But this nigga Pan, when he starts talking about, they call me Pan, but I'm known by this name and I'm known by that name, and I have many names that even the trees know my name. The trees know words. The trees know a language that you'll never know. Like, there's certain people who know the language of the trees. That's all I can say. I don't want to say too much because I just so happen to receive a lesson, and I don't want to say nothing because it just so happen to have something to do with that. But there's certain people in this world that know how to talk to nature, man. And if I can find somebody else, then I'll tell you what they're talking about. But all I know is that there's people in this world that can talk to nature because they know the nature's language. And that is the secret to doing magic and casting spells. The reason why we're able to do the magic that we're doing now that enables us to speak to each other from thousands of miles away is because our superiors as human beings figured out the language of the energy, figured out the language and the course and the codes of the technologies that they're using, of the metals, of all the components that make up this technology that we're using right now. They talk that language. They're able to understand what it does. So they make it do what it does. And now we speak and we know and we do what we do through this stuff.
2 things, bro. That's why, quote unquote, the witches or even the alchemists, they fucked with organic material. You know what I mean? Like they took like the eye of a crow. You know what I'm saying? The hair of something. It was never like, I need to synthesize or you know what I'm saying? Like it was always some sort of organic material that they process.
It's because you can take it and use it again. You can take.
There's already a charge, right? And there's already divine energy in it.
There's already a purpose. So let's say, for example, like a rose. That's a perfect example I can use. So a rose is very beautiful. So you can take a rose and you can manifest many things with the rose. If you can speak the language of the rose and understand the rose's nature, and you can understand how to apply its essence and its energy to you. That's what they do. So let's say, for example, a rose has thorns, but it's beautiful. And let's say you're a person that feels like your beauty is taken advantage of, whether your beauty is your talent, your physical beauty, your mental beauty, spiritual beauty, whatever you believe it is. You can use the thorns of roses in what people would call defense magic and also offense magic. Because a thorn cuts, a thorn defends the rose, but a thorn offends the one who tries and reach to pick the beauty. So you can take the essence of the rose and you can use it and apply it to yourself. That's what people do when they cast magic, but they understand the vibrational laws and they understand the language of the plants. They can talk to the plant and ask the plant for permission to use its life. Like, think of the Avatar, for example.
I'm thinking of fucking Lord of the Rings, dog, with the fucking trees and shit.
I gotta rewatch the Lord of the Rings because I watched all of them and I played all the games, but I was a kid and I didn't really watch it as me now knowing what I know.
Those motherfuckers are like 3 hours long, bro. So it's hard to find time to watch that shit.
Man, shit, I'll make time, bro.
I will say this though. I saw this video. I'm about to pull it up. I'll hand it over again to you. You said that these people spoke the language of the trees, spoke the language of the plants. I think what people don't realize is that plants and trees move. You know what I'm saying? Like they're actual, everyone knows that they're living things, obviously, but they move, bro. Like not only do they move towards the direction of the sun, but like if you look at them through a time-lapse camera, these motherfuckers look like they're fucking like octopi or some kind of tentacle shit. Like look at this one. This is a rose right here. But again, our human senses are limited to where we don't even have the attention.
When I'm on shrooms, bro.
I feel you, dog. I already know,
bro. The grass be dancing, nigga. That shit crazy.
Yo, my fucking fingerprints fucking wave around and shit too. Sometimes.
Everything moves, bro. You can see the movement. You can see the law of rhythm when you're on shrooms, bro. That shit's crazy. The law of vibration is visual. Is visible on shrooms, bro. All 7 laws are visible. It's crazy.
Well, shit. So we got to as above, so below. We talked a little bit about polarity.
Mm-hmm.
Where you want to go next?
Kybalion.
Let me pull this up.
Rhythm. We did gender.
So the gender. Let's go on gender a little bit because
let's go a little bit more into that, please. Yeah.
So with gender, bro, and I always say this because I've met some people in high school that came out gay, and then you look up you check in on them after high school and college, and they're not gay no more. And it's like I'm from the Philippines, and in the Philippines, like we're almost normalized to gay people. You know what I'm saying? Like lady boy type shit. So it's not necessarily. Well, we kind of see it as a phase. You know what I'm saying? Some people get stuck in it. Some people like just go through it, and some people just like, they were emo in high school type shit. You know what I mean? Like
trying to figure out what their place. There ain't nothing wrong with it.
Or their friends are gay, so they're like, I think I'm just gonna join the gay type shit. You know what I mean? So
hey, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how it happens. Like when you're trying to figure out who you are and you're trying to find your energy, that's what you do. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're straight, or whatever. At the end of the day, finding a partner, like you said in another episode, when you spoke about the birth control and how it changes your biochemical makeup, or however you said it. Like it changes your pheromones and things like that, because that's how we attract ourselves to each other, whether we can smell them or not, whether we hide them through the cologne or not. At the end of the day, all you're doing, whether you are gay, whether you are straight, because again, it goes back to what we talked about, how things look wild outside. Being gay looks crazy because it's a man on a man, and it just looks crazy because we were told that that's not right. So our body is trained to respond negatively to that.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing that's happening when you look deeper into that is you're just watching one energy seek, crave, find, enjoy, and coexist with its corresponding energy. So when somebody breaks the barriers and somebody is looking for a corresponding energy, and they decide, you know what if I don't want to have this energy I can't find this energy in a woman, so I'm gonna try to see if I can find this energy in a man, because that's what everybody's looking for, a vibe. So they can't find that vibe. They can't find that vibration. They don't vibrate. They don't coexist well with this force. So they got to keep searching vessels until they find the right vessel with that force. So then when you take it even further to pansexuality, which is a lot more of a broad selection of partners and of people to coexist with and share with, then that goes even further, because now you're not only looking for men and women, you're just looking for, you're looking for just a vessel in general. And I'm not saying this to sound like crazy. I don't want to offend nobody. I'm really trying very hard to be respectful as possible. All you're doing is you're finding a vessel, any vessel, just a shell that encases the specific energy that you resonate with. Because in this world, we are only taught that we are supposed to resonate at one frequency, that we are supposed to resonate in one frequency, but we're supposed to know one thing as a collective. We're supposed to believe in one thing. We're supposed to wear one type of clothes. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do that. Individuality is not a thing anymore, and that's a problem. And that's why everybody is so confused, and that's why this world is so fucked up, because they want us to believe that we're all the same, and we aren't.
Individuality these days is kind of the alien, they get alienated. They're looked at as the odd one, the oddball. It's like, why aren't you conforming? They
don't cut my camera off, man. What they doing for me? They said they don't like what I'm saying. They said, turn this nigga off. I don't even want to see him. I'm tripping.
Go figure that out. I'll just add a little bit to what you said, bro. And going back to what I said about the Filipinos and us kind of being used to gays, and all the different variation of gay people that we have on the spectrum, that's and we don't ignore the fact that there are actual gay people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is fucking gay. Like, and I'm not saying that to downplay the fact that he's gay. I'm just saying that, like, he's got a female soul in a male body type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. But that's really what's going on, bro. Like, it's really not their fault. Like, yeah. I've said this to people, and people try to say that I think shit's too deep, but there ain't no such thing as too deep. That's why I like this fucking book, because this book proves scientifically the white man said it. So now y'all don't have to listen to the crazy young half breed mongrel. Y'all don't have to listen to me. Y'all can listen to the white man. The white man said that everything is connected, bro. That everything is everything. There's no way around it, man. There's no way around it. It's really that fucking deep, bro. It's really that deep.
Also, like, I will say too that, seeing tomboys in the Philippines is pretty normal too. I have a few relatives that are tomboys, but even then, tomboys, I feel like switching back over to the female side I feel like the percentage of that is higher than gay people switching over back to the masculine side. You know what I mean?
For sure.
My point with saying that is a understanding of the principle of gender. That's also sort of an understanding of the principle of rhythm. You could say that's also a principle of cause and effect, because who knows what happened that caused that affected that, right? It's also the principle of polarity, right? Also the principle of vibration, because you could say the songs kind of teach you to be a certain way. And there's a lot of groomers. We got to call these surgeries, you know what I mean, that cater to people of not of age yet to consent as a groomer, or, you know what I mean, a malevolent vibration to kind of cause you to have a certain effect, if you will. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the principle of correspondence and the principle of mentalism. I feel like the principle of mentalism is why we spend a lot more time on these screens than meditating because you have a distorted mental projection
Mentalism.
now.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now they almost hack your projection screen to where you can't even really form these forms out of your imagination that are really abstract because you're almost forming these cookie cutter shapes that they've already installed in you. You know what I mean?
That's very, very insightful of you, sir.
But bro, if you do these surgeries, now you've changed the whole vessel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these tantra magic, and bro, like I said, I did the occult DBZ, and it's all sex magic. Like your organs, your genitalia have a lot of importance in your charge. You know what I'm saying? If we're talking about polarity being batteries and shit. So the fact that you kind of manipulate and mutilate it fucks with your charge and fucks with your vessel or battery, so to speak. I think, you know what I mean? When you could have just wrote it out, when you could have just wrote it out, following the principle of rhythm, you know, maybe it's just a season, you know what I mean? You're going to get through it, but now you're kind of stuck in that hell. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. And I don't know if you want to get into who is doing that, but we can talk about that later.
Oh man, nah, I'd have already said too much, man. I'm gonna save it for another video.
You dig?
They gonna get my ass.
But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy how these are 7 principles, but at the same time, like they all almost combine in order to teach a lesson. I don't know. They're almost all intertwined. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Literally, man. Like this world is like you can literally call it anything that's intertwined, bro. I would call it like a long braid. It is a long braid, one of the many long braids on the head of whoever the fuck is thinking of all this shit. Because the Kybalion says and sees the world as being a projection of thought. And another interesting thing, speaking of that, it's basically saying that we're nothing but a projection, like we're the imagination of the creator. Not to say that there's a sky daddy or nothing like that. But say that there's a creative force and that we are a mental projection of it, because seeing is that how our existence is a mental projection, then if everything is as above and so below, then that means that on a broader scale, it's a mental projection is a mental projection of a mental projection of a mental projection. Like it keeps going and going and going. And what I thought was very interesting about how they talk about the creator is that, you know, it goes against what traditional spirituality would cause you to believe, or some of them anyway. I don't want to take away from everyone, because there's people who know exactly what I'm about to say, but there's other people who believe in other things that are a lot easier to listen to. But it's basically telling you you're not God, nigga. So if there's anyone listening to us right now, you're not him at all. You're not him, and I'm going to tell you why you're not him, and it's going to make sense, and you're going to get upset, and you're either going to deny it, you're going to talk crazy about me in the comments, or you're going to go home later, and you're going to be like, you know what, man, maybe this nigga's all right. But I'm going to tell you why, and it's not to insult you or make you feel little or anything at all. This is the reason. So this is how they said it. In order for this thing to be perfect, how we call it, in order for it to be absolute, as we call it, because it says the creator is changeable and moldable, just like we are. That's what I thought was interesting.
Wow.
Because every form of scripture that you could ever think of, they say God is absolute. God never changes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
they're saying in order for it to be God, that means that it can't be that it can't be not changeable in the way that I'm saying it with English words, but it can't be changeable it can't be taken away from, and it can't be added to. If this is the main source that we have, it can't be like, we can't be a piece of it because it can't be broken from. It's not that we were broken from or separated from it, but that we are a projection within it. We are like the same way that me and you, that like, I don't know. It's hard to say it out loud. No.
Okay, so let me try to catch what you're throwing. So right. we talked about this in a previous episode about omnipresence, right?
Yeah.
Like, how are you everywhere at once? Are you split up? But we kind of agreed that it's almost like a light getting shot into a prism, and then it, you know what I mean, splits up into multiple direction. Like, you're sort of a hologram of that. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. Because the only thing that exists is source. But
you're not, and you're not the source. You're kind of just a refraction of it.
Exactly, a reflection of it. Exactly. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Going back to what you said about how you can kind of, like, it's got a chorus. It's almost got a relationship where you can kind of affect the quote unquote creator too. It almost reminds me of like Legos, right? Like, if one of those Lego bricks is fucked up, then you're kind of see it, right? And if enough of those Lego bricks are fucked up, then the structure overall isn't going to be as stable, right? Or you're going to see some molding in the bricks on one end of it. So in a way, you do kind of have an effect on it, but it's pretty crazy that you said you can't take away from it. So
yeah, that's
really profound. That's pretty fucking crazy. Actually.
That was a very interesting thing that they said in this book. Like,
yeah.
A matter of fact, if we got time, if you don't mind, bro, I want to try to read exactly what they said. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I just want to read that specific point they made so they can hear it from the horse's mouth.
Do it, bro.
So, just let me find it.
Kybalion.
And it's funny because like it's funny because it's like an ad lib. The words, the Kybalion, it's like an ad lib throughout the book. Like it'll be like the law of rhythm. Everything swings to and fro. The measure of the swing to the left is the measure of the swing to the right. Rhythm must always compensate. The Kybalion. Like this shit's fucking hilarious.
I wonder if the three initiates. I don't know. There's a lot of three Trinity.
Three initiates. I don't know, man. Yeah. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, creation,
right.
Creation, destruction, mediation, masculine, feminine, mediate, like the creation of both, evil, good, white, black, gray. I don't know, man. I have no idea.
This is crazy too. Modern offshoots, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Some say that that's the real fucking Harry Potter shit.
The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I don't know if it was the real one or not, bro. I ain't gonna say nothing. But like, I got a whole lot of emails and a whole lot of Instagrams and a whole lot of personal messages from people claiming to be from the Hermetic Order of Dawn, trying to recruit me.
Holy shit.
That shit was freaking me the fuck out, bro. I was like, I don't know who this is. I'm not answering. And I stopped answering for a while and it just stopped. But I kept seeing shit on Instagram, posts on Instagram, random emails, from random numbers, like in like Washington, D.C., California, and some other place, bro. It was really weird. I'm not playing, bro. That shit was crazy as fuck.
I feel like once they hit you up, like they don't take you off their radar. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man. I feel like they watch me some other way, bro. But I've been hit up many times by many people. Like I said, some of them could be scams, but you can't tell who's real and who's not when you start learning shit that I'm learning.
Yeah, like, man. I feel you.
They're like, some of them claim to be Illuminati and they wanted me to join, and they offered me this amount of money. They never asked me for any money. They just asked me to meet at certain locations. They asked me for certain information, and I wouldn't give it to them. And I told them I wasn't interested in meeting anybody. Like I don't fuck with that type of shit, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I'm just trying to see what's up, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I don't fuck with that shit, bro. I'm just learning things. I don't got time
Yeah.
for bullshit. Hold on. I'm scrolling through the book right now.
Also listed in the modern offshoots, Hermetic Kabbalah and the Rosicrucians. Interesting. Those are like all big names, man. Early modern.
The Rosicrucians, they got an interesting philosophy too. And I was very interested in the things that they had to say. But then I started getting scared because then people would talk about, oh, they're demon worshippers, and I'm like, damn it, man.
Yeah, man.
Who the fuck do you trust?
It just say early modern historical figures tied to the Kybalion. Giovanni da Correggio, Pico della Mirandola, Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, Paracelsus, John Dee, Giordano Bruno. I don't even know all these fools, man. I know Giovanni and I know Paracelsus and John Dee. Let's check it out. Secret society devoted to study and practice of occult hermeticism and metaphysics. During the late 19th century and early 20th century, known as the Magical Order, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was active in Great Britain and focused its practices on theurgy and spiritual development. Theurgy, also known as divine magic, is one of the two major branches of the magical arts.
All right. I found it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So it says, human reason, whose reports we must accept so long as we think it all, informs us as follows regarding the all, and that without attempting to remove the veil of unknowable. Now, the way that they use English in this book is really questionable, but you have to really, really, really look past that and it's kind of like reading between the lines. Like you got to skip words and shit. I feel like they be putting shit there to trick you, unless that's just the way they spoke back then. If that was, I would have hated to live back then, bro. But anyway, it says 1, the all must be all that really is. There can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. Because literally, if you take away from the all, it's not the all no more, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's crazy.
And then it goes 2, the all must be infinite, for there is nothing else to define, confine, bind, limit, or restrict the all. It must be infinite in time or eternal. It must have always continuously existed, for there is nothing else to have ever created it. And something can never evolve from nothing. And if it had ever not been, even for a moment, it would not be now. It must continuously exist forever, for there is nothing to destroy it, and it can never not be, even for a moment, because something can never become nothing. It must be infinite in space. It must be everywhere, for there is no place outside of the all. It cannot be otherwise than continuous in space without break, cessation, separation, or interruption. For there is nothing to break, separate, or interrupt its continuity, and nothing with which to fill in the gaps. It must be infinite in power or absolute, for there is nothing to limit, restrict, restrain, confine, disturb, or condition it. It is subject to no other power, for there is no other power. It cannot be, it must be immutable or not subject to change in its real nature, for there is nothing to work changes upon it, nothing which it could change, nor from which it could have changed. It cannot be added nor subtracted from, increased nor diminished, nor become greater or lesser in any way, respect whatsoever. Then it goes, Now do not become befogged, nor frightened. We are not trying to lead you into the Christian Science field under cover of Hermetic philosophy. Then it goes, then modern science, and this is just me skipping and showing you some of my highlights.
Yeah.
Science informs us that there is really no such thing as matter. That what we call matter is merely interrupted energy or force. That is, energy or force that is at a low rate of vibration. Even material science has abandoned the theory of matter and now rests on the basis of energy. Then is all the mere energy is the all mere energy or force, not energy or force, as materialists use the terms, for their energy and force are blind, mechanical things, devoid of life or mind. Life and mind can never evolve from blind energy or force for the reason given moments ago. Nothing can rise higher than its source. Nothing is evolved unless it is involved. Nothing manifests in the effect unless it is in the cause. This is where I got the word involution from.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is living mind, as far above that which mortals know by those words, living in mind.
Instrumental.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
instrumental crazy, man.
Exactly, bro. That's crazy. You just said that.
Yep.
As far above that which mortals know by those words, as life and mind are higher than mechanical forces or matter. Infinite living mind as compared to finite life and mind, we mean that which illuminated souls. We mean that which the illuminated souls mean when they reverently pronounce the word spirit. The all is infinite living mind. The illuminated call it spirit. The all is spirit, but what is spirit? This question cannot be answered for the reason that its definition is practically that of the all, which cannot be explained or defined. Spirit is simply a name that men give the highest conception of infinite living mind. That's where I close that.
Yeah, so my closing thoughts on this and the Kybalion is, I think mentalism and the field of mentality gets confused for spirituality.
Yes, it does a lot.
I said that already, but based on what you just said, it feels like spirituality is the divine, and that's the source. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I feel like we're all just kind of we're sort of the prism. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You know how a prism has a bunch of different edges, different angles. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think our angle, interesting kind of vocabulary, our angle is our perspective. You know what I mean? And you shine a certain light because of your angle and the way you're facing, right?
I like that.
And
I like the way you're going with that, sir.
it's fucking nuts. You know what I'm saying? How it all just plugs in like that.
You done seen some shit. This man done seen some shit. That's crazy.
And so, you know what I mean? Like, technically, if the light didn't pass through that angle, it's illuminating the whole room. So technically it's bouncing the whole room. But even though you're seeing one side of it, you have to be aware that like you're not seeing all of it type shit. You know what I mean? And that's correct. Because we're not the spirit. We're the mental, you know what I mean? We're the projector almost.
Exactly. We're the generator and the projector of that spirit.
Right. And then it's almost like electricity running through you. Like you're not the electricity. You're just you're the
wire.
Tool. You're the tool, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You're the battery.
And again, going back to the law of vibration, and I've had this gripe, and shout out to Mel. We always talk about how shitty English is. But
yeah, man. Shout out my man, Mel.
I don't think it's shitty, bro. Not anymore after this conversation. I think it's more of a coded language. You know what I mean? Whether it's because you have to agree with me, bro. Like and
no, I do agree with you.
Everyone internationally, I feel like when they hear an English poem or when they hear an English song, it's just so poetic. it just conveys. I think it's because it can mean so many different things that it's malleable in your head, so you kind of project what you think.
That's basically why they created it, man. Because it doesn't matter what you do when you speak English, bro. Like, even if you trace down all the origins of the words, like, you can't escape what they want you to understand. Right. Because even if you go into another, even if you be like, oh, we're being lied to, English sucks. Okay, that's cool, but you trace this English word all the way to Germans, and then now when you learn German, you're just saying the same shit. You're just using a different dialect, and you're using a different, I guess you could say, a different pitch. Because I would compare the way that languages change vibrations to the way that the keys on the piano change pitches in music.
Mm-hmm. Straight up, man. And I feel like the people who get the poems, the people who get the song, the lyrics, you know how there's like rap genius that can fucking be like, oh, this was a triple entendre for this. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they have a deeper understanding of the whole song compared to like the person who didn't even catch the triple entendre, only caught the catchy hook type shit. You know what I mean?
Word. I appreciate English because it's helped me go back to my African friends and teachers, Haitian teachers, and just overseas teachers, period. You know, foreign teachers that don't have anything to do with America, learning traditions from other people. Like, I really appreciate English because if it wasn't for English, I wouldn't have been able to understand some of the things that I understand. I wouldn't have acquired some of the knowledge that I have here that helped me understand theirs. And not only did it help me understand theirs, but I was able to reclaim certain things that belong to them. And I was able to explain certain things, not that they didn't have, because they always have it. But their thing is they don't talk out loud about certain things, and they don't have certain symbolism for certain things. Sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes they don't believe that it's necessary, and they'll tell you that. But I've learned things here that I'll bring over there to them and be like, hey, man, this sounds like what y'all talk about. And then after they open up to it, because most traditionists and indigenous traditionalists, they don't like looking into things that aren't about anything that what they're dealing with. Because for them, if they have something that works, there's no need for them to go out there and try to understand what someone else understands because they already got their energy figured out. Why would they interrupt their energy and their vibration to take on something entirely different?
It's so crazy. I feel like this whole fucking quote unquote spiritual field has so many like natural checks and balances. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is it just perfectly set, or was it structured and designed carefully? You know what I mean? I don't even know, but it seems like there's like even the people like Aleister Crowley or even the Golden Dawn type shit, like there's still checks and balances to them. Like they're not beating the spiritual law, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all. Like they're not doing nothing random. Nothing's random. Everything is calculated. That's another thing that was interesting in this book, is that there's no such thing as chance, because in order for chance to happen, that means that this event, that means what you're telling me is that this event is above all the laws of existence, not even just the law of physics, like that this event happened and it was detached from all laws of existence. And that's completely impossible, because it doesn't even matter if you think that you can escape. Just because you can touch your hand on a flame and your finger won't burn, you think that you're immune to the laws of nature. That doesn't make sense. Because when you go, again, like I said in the last episode, the higher you go in the realms, even Vishnu would tell you, because Vishnu is said to be one of the highest dudes in the highest realms out there in their tradition. You know what I mean? They put him beside Shiva. People argue all the time about how much more powerful Shiva and Vishnu are as forces and gods and stuff like that. When Vishnu came down as Krishna, and he was talking to Arjuna during the war in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the many, many, many texts, traditional texts of the Hindus. He was telling Arjuna, trying to convince Arjuna to fight the war that they had to fight, so that Arjuna could claim things that belong to him. However, I'm not going to tell people exactly how it happened. I'll leave it for them to read it. But he was convincing him to do his duty. Arjuna didn't want to do his duty because he was afraid that he had to hurt people that he loved, and he had to get rid of certain things, sacrifice things. But Vishnu came to him and he told him, you can't escape your duty, because at the end of the day, We have to think about it like this. Now, the humans believed that Vishnu was God, and he knew that it didn't matter how much he told them they weren't God, they were going to call him God because he was superior to them. And they didn't accept him as anything less. So he didn't call himself God because he believed they called himself God. He called himself God because you called him God. So when he's talking to you, he's going to refer to himself as God because that's what you want. That's what you want to understand him as, even though he's telling you multiple times in his book he's not God. He's not even real. None of this is real. But even in the middle of not knowing, even in the middle of knowing this, none of this shit's real and all of this stuff is illusion, he's telling you that, okay, this is an illusion, but it's still present. You're still here. We're still participating in this illusory existence, and that's what keeps it alive. And as long as it's alive, you're going to have duties. Even I have duties. If I escape my duties right now, everything in this world will collapse. If you believe me to be God and you understand God's responsibility to be and his duty to be humanity, if I decided that I didn't want to watch over y'all no more and I didn't want to put life into this whole world, this whole shit will shut down right now. So if I have to follow duty and if I'm bound by law, then what makes you think that you can escape law and that you can escape your duty? Even the demons are bound by law. Even though they try to trick the humans into believing that they can escape law, the only thing they're doing is just tricking you into opening your mind and your heart into co-working with them so that they can give you what you want and do whatever the fuck they want with you, through you, however it wants. And you're either going to be okay with that and you're going to work with them, or you're not going to be okay with that and it's going to be too late and you're going to have to work with them until you can find somebody to get them off of you.
So my grandma always said that the more you learn about the world, because she was a doctor, and she said that the more you learn about the human body, the more you learn about nature, the more you're confident that there is a God, right?
That is true.
And it's interesting because, like, if you understand the principle of mentality or mentalism, and you understand holograms, like, you understand that you're only seeing a fraction of God. And like, you realize too that like even the bad parts are of God, you know what I mean? And that's what kind of the whole side, that's both sides of the coin. That goes back to the law of polarity, right?
That's correct.
And as above, so below. So interestingly, of Bhagavad Gita, when I read that first, I almost thought that was God showing him, but it almost seems like on some fucking like Moses shit where God spoke to him through a fucking burning bush type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like, so you gotta take into consideration, like, in that story, the only reason that they paint Vishnu and Krishna there as a blue man is because that they're showing you Krishna took this form and Krishna was present in this story. But while he was actually there, when he was in his reincarnated state, he wasn't blue, and when he was actually going down through there. They acknowledged him as a blue man because they acknowledged the spirit of Vishnu, because they have certain things that they have certain indicators to indicate if this is Vishnu that reincarnated in his human body. There's certain things that you have to be able to do and know in order for you to be whatever they believe you to be reincarnated as. So it's like you said, it's like a burning bush situation. So it's like this, he was with this guy, this partner, this dude he knew this whole time, his partner in crime, his friend in war. And eventually, after it was all said and done, then Vishnu changed, and he showed him his formless form, and he showed him what he could handle as a human being. He showed him as everything as everything. He showed him all things of existence, all things terrible, all things beautiful, all things hot, all things cold, and so on and so on. Left and right poles, opposites are the same thing, but in different degree. And I thought that was very interesting hearing that, because one day I did an experiment in my house, and I want you to do it too, bro. It's going to fuck you up. Right now, what temperature is it in your house?
Probably 70, 71.
All right. And you got it on heat, right?
It's just, it's off right now.
All right. Look, I want you to turn it on. I want you to turn the heat on, but set it to 70.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to feel what's going on. It's going to get warm in your room. And then I want you to put your heat. I want you to keep your degree at 70, but turn the air conditioner on. and it's going to get cold in your house, but it's still 70 degrees. How? And I always question that, right? I was like, that doesn't make sense, because if it's getting warmer, how is it maintaining the same degree? If the degree is supposed to be high, it's supposed to be rising. And when I read this book, it explained how opposites are the same things, but to different degrees. And it used heat and cold as something as that same thing, because there's no such thing as nothing is absolutely hot and nothing is absolutely cold, because at any given point in time, the temperature can drop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I ain't gonna get into it because I'm gonna freak myself out. But like, I've thought about that, and when I read that in that book, I thought that was a very interesting thing for them to say. It's just about the same thing as love and hate. Like, love and hate are not different.
Right.
There are 2 degrees of the same thing, that thing being emotion.
It's crazy, bro. You also mentioned something about on the I think the second or third episode we had you on, you mentioned something about violins and harps and how the strings on the violins and harps were
made from
sheep
skin.
Right?
Yeah, sheep intestines. Yes.
And depending on how their diet was, and depending how they were raised and taken care of, it determined the sound of the string strumming.
Yes, because
right?
that being, because it's like human beings. Depending on how well your diet is, your skin is your biggest snitch. So depending on how well you take care of yourself will be an indicator of your skin. Not necessarily for people who are born with skin conditions, but for anyone who's not born with a skin condition and has what we would call average skin, like, you can tell what's wrong with them by their skin. And if you're healthy, you eat healthy, your skin is strong, and you need strong skin and elastic skin to make those strings. Not to mention the metal that they're going to tie around the string to create the string itself. Because I want anyone here who's listening, who might be tuning in, whoever you are, if you have an instrument and you haven't looked at it, because there's people in this world who don't pay attention to things like this. They don't care about things like this.
Everything's electronic too.
Yeah. Like look at your guitar strings and understand that you're seeing it. You're not tripping. I'm not making it up. I'm not manipulating you. This is not magic. Look at your guitar strings, your violin strings, any stringed instrument, and look at the metal of the strings. It is a spiral of metal around something. That something being, unless they had a synthetic version now, which they probably do.
Yeah.
Original violin strings and other things, which is why music actually sounds so much different now than it does back then.
Dog, especially violins, bro. Like, if you play the violin at the right way, the right, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound amateur. Like, you can make motherfuckers cry, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm motherfucker. I'd be crying. Violins are beautiful, bro.
I'm him too, bro. I'm them. There's certain things that I can cry to, bro. Violin definitely one of them.
Straight up, bro. I mean, not to say that the piano keys don't have a beautiful sound. It does, and same with the guitar, but I ain't fucking crying over a guitar solo. I don't care how beautiful that shit is. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I'll probably get lit and slam a chair or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But going back to what you said about the sheepskin or the sheep stomach translating into the quality sound when they're processed into violin or harp strings, to me, that's also an application of the law of rhythm. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to wrap it up with this. We're going to go through the 7 Hermetic Principles, and we're both going to kind of just throw out some applications for yourself, because that's kind of what I try to do when I studied the 7 Hermetic Principles. I was in a spiritual awakening phase, and I didn't want to waste the knowledge that I was collecting and I was given, so I wanted to apply it. So obviously I mentioned it. One, the principle of mentalism. Don't watch TV, dog. Limit your screen time. Take some time to meditate. Take some time to visualize. I think that's why visualization and dreams are so powerful, because I'm guilty. I smoke weed not to dream, because some of my dreams are crazy, but you get these crazy dreams that you wouldn't have imagined or quote unquote projected, you know what I mean? Had you not slept and had you not been given that message or that dream. So visualization, imagining your success, imagining your own personal dream, and actually having dreams, I feel like is the application of mentalism for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the principle of correspondence, as above, so below. I just, to me, how I apply that is I just know that there's going to be a ripple effect. It's a butterfly effect. You know what I mean? So I think we mentioned this on a podcast we did with Kevin Ross. Everybody is on a path. Even if you're just chilling and doing nothing, you're on a path of just chilling and doing. You're in an involution path, if you will, if you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. Let's say you're just eating junk food. You're on a path, whether that's a fucking unhealthy path or a path where you're going to finally realize that I shouldn't be eating this shit. There's always a principle of correspondence in whatever decision you make. So I would almost relate that to the butterfly effect type shit. Principle of vibration. I think that's when it kind of gets new agey to me. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is there's no concrete, like, objective thing you can look at. It's literally how you feel, I think. Energy and emotions, how you vibrate type shit. So, again, there's this guy I watch on YouTube. His name is Master of Earth. He said that your song is your vibration. So, you know, if you're listening to some fucking hype shit to go work out, then you kind of have this hype shit vibe exuding off you. You know what I mean? You're probably not going to be... You're probably not going to be so approachable if you were listening to some like jazz or just some lo-fi instrumental type shit. You know,
that's what that nigga Mozart, bro, and Beethoven and shit when they was playing, bro. That was they soul you was listening to, bro.
Yeah, bro. No words or anything, just like literally what was going on in my heart.
That's what the vibration was going on, man. They was hearing the beeps and boops in their mind, and they was playing that shit. These motherfuckers said, yo, I'm hearing these noises in my head, man, and I don't know how to fucking say them. I can't make them with my mouth. We got to figure out how to fucking make these noises, dog. Let's kill this sheep.
It's so funny that you say that, bro, because if you listen to like Beethoven shit, like there's like and you're like a person who's used to the structure of rap, like the 4-bar, 8-bar, 16-bar, like you get lost in that shit because they don't go by that structure, bro. They literally just freestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you gotta think about it. That nigga Beethoven, he couldn't hear.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's like, bro, he couldn't even hear. He was just feeling this shit, and like he was like, yo, I know I can't hear outside, but nigga, I'm hearing this shit in here. And I want y'all to hear what I hear, even though I can't hear type shit.
It's interesting though, bro. Like now that you're aware of the 7 Hermetic Principles and you almost accept them as reality, you can look at people like Beethoven and be like, I'm pretty sure there's something that corresponded or that caused that effect. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be an interesting deep.
Imagine what if he would have been, let's say if he would have had the ability to hear, his music might not even been good.
Mm-hmm. Bro, right. And I don't know, I feel like everything is recycled. I feel like a lot of those songs are highly acclaimed for a reason. So there's probably a bunch of fucking samples off that shit. You know what I mean?
I don't know, bro, but if there ain't one, I'm gonna make one. Shit. I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna do like some low shimmy type shit with a Beethoven beat. That shit'll go crazy.
Again, principle of vibration. We spoke about, not listening to music anymore because you should be singing your own song. Like you said, Beethoven, that motherfucker wasn't even saying lyrics, bro. He was just a vibe. You know what I mean?
Mozart,
but the modern man is probably singing some fucking Drake. You know what I mean? Some Kendrick Lamar shit. You know
the Vedas say, it plays on what you were saying about your vibration being your song. Mm-hmm. The Vedas say that the weakest form and the lowest form of communication is speech. Because in order for you to speak, you have to break down and translate the soul, and that's impossible.
And without speaking, you do have a beat, a heartbeat. You do breathe. So you could, those could be the hi-hats and the kicks. You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, bro. Like, if you ever get high enough on a psychedelic, bro, that's really what everything sounds like, bro. It sounds like music. Like,
bro, yeah.
It's weird. Everything flows together. Like every single thing. Like, you don't see it when you're sober because everything starts moving faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
man.
When you do the psychedelics and you start seeing everything move slower, you notice that even the most random thing, like you can bump into something, it'll fall on the ground, but it'll like the sound will correspond with something that's going on in the room, even if it's a random flash of the light that just so happened to flash when the fan falls. Like everything is always connected, man. No matter what. There's nothing in this room. There's nothing in your room or in the rooms of the viewers who are watching, viewing, or listening that is not tied at all. And even if you pay attention right now as I speak, just look around. There's something in there that's something in there, man. There's something in there. When I'm talking, listen to the syllables in my word and just catch it. You'll catch something is going to catch the syllables of my voice. Not because I have control, but because everything is connected. Not because I'm a god or I'm some special spiritual guy, but because everything is connected. It's just that simple. To me, anyway. I keep it that simple. I believe it's that simple, but I can't say for you to believe it's that simple for somebody else to believe that way.
I feel like number 2, principle of correspondence alludes to that everything is kind of connected, right? As above, so below. And I think it's intertwined with the principle of vibration, because the principle of correspondence kind of states that we're all collective, but the principle of vibration kind of tells me that you're a co-creator in the whole cosmic collective community. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So again, like if we're all in a choir, but then I fucking say the lyric at the wrong timing, someone's gonna hear it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Going on to the principle of polarity, to me, that thing's, honestly, I'll share this. Honestly, I have a journal that I used to write in when things were going rough in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I would write whatever is tough going. Let's say I'll make something up, like I got hurt, right? Like I sprained my ankle. So if I'm really pissed off about that, and this is my application of the principle of polarity, I'll journal what happened. So let's say I sprained my ankle playing basketball type shit. Then I'll write a paragraph why that sucks, right? After that, I'll meditate and I'll try to, if you've seen X-Men, you know when fucking Professor X goes on Cerebro and he kind of sifts through people to fucking find mutants?
Yeah,
kind of do that in a meditation to sift through to find the polar opposite of that shitty thing. So let's say the polar opposite is, oh, hey, I can finally rest and I can work, you know what I mean, on my hand coordination type shit. So then I'll put that as the anchor on the next page of that journal. And then I'll write a paragraph on how that's a good thing for me. So it's almost a way of, you know what I mean, excavating the positive side of that negative charge and being able to, you know, find the other end. You begin to be able to transmute from negative to positive.
No, that's really good that you do that, because even without the Kybalion, like there's been scientific studies that show that just simply
no, I don't know if he got off or his phone died, but we'll save it for when he gets back. Principle of polarity. So yeah, that's what I do. And again, I think I mentioned this in a previous show. I try to talk down on myself when things are going really well for me. Like I kind of try to bring myself to an even middle ground. And obviously when things are going bad for me, I try to pick myself up and I tell myself some bullshit to get me up there. So I think that's an application of the principle of polarity, because if there's a negative side, there's a positive side. And again, if there's a positive side, there's a negative side. So this is what I want to really talk about, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. So if there's a bad, then you know that there's going to be a good. And if there's a good, you know that there's going to be a bad. And I think knowing that, you don't get lost in the bad seasons. And also you're a little more thankful for the good seasons. You know what I mean? You're not like ungrateful, one, and you're not really taking it for granted. So The other thing that I want to talk about with the principle of rhythm is trusting the process. Sometimes you try to work out, you know what I mean? You're out of shape, you try to work out, you get on a diet. After a week or two, or maybe 3 weeks, it kind of feels stale. It kind of feels bland and mundane, and you don't really see results, but you gotta just stay with it, because the principle of rhythm will eventually make its presence felt. It's going to be applied and you'll see the results. And sometimes it's hard to see the results while you're actively going through it. It's not until you take a step back and reflect that you see the principle of rhythm being applied. Principle of cause and effect, these are kind of intertwined for me, because I feel like if I am aware of cause and effect, then I can plan out the principle of rhythm. You know what I mean? So let's say I want to go back to the getting in shape example. I want to get in shape, right? So what is going to cause that effect that I want? I got to change my diet, and I got to work out on a consistent schedule. So now that I plan the cause to get the effect that I want, now I just have to trust that rhythm to get that effect going, because it's going to happen. And the principle of gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principle. Gender manifests on all plane. That one, let me find a book that might make this easier to understand. Over here. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. I think that's the book here. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. So it talks about archetypes and staying centered, right? If you're a little too masculine, then you could become a tyrant. But at the same time, if you're way too feminine, then you become a little pansy ass bitch king. You know what I mean? And at the same time, if in your warrior archetype, if you're too masculine, you kind of become a brute. If you're too feminine, you kind of become a little bitch ass warrior. Same with a magician. You become a little Aleister Crowley if you go through the one side of the spectrum, and on the other side of the spectrum, you become a bitch ass magician. So being able to stay centered, I feel like, lets you know that you don't, because there is toxic masculinity and there is toxic femininity. So that's how I process that. And I'll be honest, man, I just had a daughter. So I feel like being able to balance your feminine side makes you whole and makes you comfortable in your masculine side. You know what I mean? Opposed to the people that don't get to exercise their feminine side. I feel like that's when guys get kind of gay, because it's almost like that energy or that mentalism or that spirit doesn't get a opportunity to get exercise. So it builds up and causes an imbalance. So that's how I apply the principles of gender. I think Elijah might be trying to get back on. I'm not too sure, but Seven Hermetic Principles definitely is something that I use in my life to become better. It's definitely something that I use still when I'm going through something. And yo, you still hearing me here, bro?
Yeah, man, they cut me out, man.
Hell yeah. You back, bro. They can never stop us.
I was watching you though, bro. I like what you were saying though, man.
Yeah, man. I pretty much just went over
I
rhythm.
think Elijah might be trying to get back on.
Principle and cause and effect. Principle of gender. Is there anything you want to add on there?
is something that
nah, not really, bro. You do a really good job of picking up what you hear, and you're a good generator. Like this right here, I guess you could say would be a good example of the law of gender being applied in an unconventional visual way, because it's two men speaking right now. But the energy that I'm giving you as a producer of the energy, you're taking it, you're generating, you're giving it life. I'm planting the seed and you're growing it by being able to respond and add on to what I'm saying. So existence is happening, creation is happening, and we're conceiving and understanding right now.
Straight up, man. I mean, I don't know if there's some feedback on your, I think we fixed it, but I don't know, like, the law of gender doesn't mean like fucking cross dress every fucking Sunday type shit, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're a female, it doesn't mean like go out and go beat up some fools, you know what I mean, and exert your masculine side. But like I said, I feel like that is a cause and effect of not being able to exercise that side of you, you know what I mean?
That is true.
That's how I feel about that, man. The Kybalion, make sure you guys check it out. I'm pretty sure you can find this shit on YouTube. If you're in our Discord,
find the PDF file online. But if you want it, if y'all want my exact highlights, not to say I'm anybody important, but for anybody who's interested in what I said and you want my exact perspective and see my exact notes, then you can email me at Will Brunson, WILBRUNSON at 52. No. It's Will Brunson, WILBRUNSON 52 at gmail.com. Email me there, and I'll send you the PDF file of the Kybalion with my highlights on it. But if you don't care about my highlights, you just want the book, you can just find the book online and buy it if you want it in your hands, which is what I'm going to do. I always read PDFs before I buy the book because I don't want to waste my money. Then you can find the PDF file on the internet, on Google.
Or, dog, Elijah's part of the cave now, man. You can just go to fucking cave Discord. I'm going to have him posted over there. We're trying to build a database in there. Mm-hmm. I know TikTok is shutting down, I think, or is it the risk of shutting down? But don't fucking worry, because I've been saving a bunch of cool TikToks and building a database on our Discord. So we'll have PDF notes. We'll have fucking deleted TikToks. Also some crazy fucking documentaries in there.
I need to save some of my TikToks, man. The specific TikTok that I need to save is the one TikTok where I trace down the casting of lots and the casting of runes all the way down to the ancient divination practices of Africa. Because that's a very important video, and that video meant a lot to me, and it took me weeks to put all that shit together, and I went through a lot of shit after I released that information, but I had to put it out there.
Yeah, man, there's already a bunch of TikToks that have been scrubbed, but still, like, there's some crazy ass and bro, because they're getting reposted on Twitter, they're getting reposted on Facebook, they're getting reposted on Instagram. So, you know what I'm saying? That just means that, like, there was some valuable information that was put out. And I don't know if it's the kind of creators that they attract or it's just the algorithm. I know there's some crazy content creators on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, man, but they don't really get pushed by the algorithm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So kind of interesting. But shit, any signing offs, dude? Anything you want to plug before we head out?
I'm going to be dropping a new song soon. It's going to be called Cooper.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I got my laptop back, and I had all my old music. I thought I lost all my songs and everything, and I was able to get a hold of my old iCloud, so I got everything back. So I'm gonna drop Cooper.
Hell yeah! Where can we find that, dog? Where can we find
unless I already dropped it, I'm gonna have to check, man. Because I just got all my old signing shit back. But you'll be able to find Cooper on SoundCloud right now until I purchase like a lease for the beat to be able to post it on my normal platforms. But you can find the music that I already have on Apple Music under the same name as you see right here, written right here, Elijah Fashe right there.
Let me flash that up.
You gotta look up Elijah or Elijah is how they say it in America in English. That's how we say it here. But Elijah Fashe, you can find Elijah Fashe Topic, like Lil Wayne Topic, Drake Topic, whatever Topic. You find a Elijah Fauché topic for all of my stuff directly. But if you look up Elijah Fauché, then you'll find one of my old YouTube pages that has my music. It has a couple of gaming things on there. I like playing the game Ghost of Tsushima. I played the new Shadow game. Threw some gameplay on that on there. And I got one video of myself when I was at I wouldn't say more so of a beginner, but I was just starting to really understand and get a little hands-on with the things that I was learning. And I decided to try and explain what I believed God to be at that point with the sources that I had at that time. My beliefs have changed a lot, especially reading this book, as you can see. Because if you look at that video, it being an older video, which you will be able to tell because my hair is longer. I have my dreads in that video. But me telling you what God is there versus me telling you what source could be now, you'll see how what I'm saying now contradicts what I said back then, and could be seen as either not necessarily a different, but more of an evolved understanding of what I say in that video.
It's so crazy documenting your spiritual or your conscious journey, because you do see growth. You know what I mean? Like I feel like everyone who's doing that is aware and knows that their opinions are going to change. No one's like trying to. Well, there are some grifters out there. You know,
there's some out there.
Actual influencers, if you will, you know what I mean? But there's also people that are just trying to grow.
More like entertainers.
Yeah, you could say it's kind of borderline influencer entertainer. But yeah, man, check us out at the Cave to stay updated with the Cave at the K4V3 on all social media platforms. Cave.com, K4V3.com. And let me post the Discord link in the chat because I forgot to do that. Cave mixtape coming out 2025. Make sure you guys
I can't wait for it, man.
Are on the lookout for that. And good. That's all we got to say. Inside the Cave, baby. We'll see you on the next one. Bro, now that we got Elijah in the Cave, dude, we got a bunch of shit to break down inside the cave. So it's gonna be
man, it's about to be crazy. It's about to be crazy. They don't even know. They're not ready, bro.
Peace out.
Crazy. Peace.